Before a young man gets married in our times nowadays, they've watched a few movies here and there before they made tawbah and they became religious. And they have this idea of what love is and what marriage is. And, brothers come up to me all the time, brother, man, I gotta get married, man. As though like in their head, once they get married, all their temptations are just gonna poof, disappear. And life is gonna be bliss and we're gonna read Quran together, And, it's gonna be just a spiritual experience. Right? And there's this fantastic view of what marriage really is. Those of you that are married are probably not even laughing right now because they're like, what? Because, what is he talking about? Because you don't even remember feeling that way, right?
Our young brothers and sisters, they have no idea what a real marriage is. They have absorbed the concept of marriage from Bollywood dramas, from Hollywood movies, from Twilight and these types of ridiculous books, and they think that marriage is just what they see on TV. So when they get married and they see that their married life is nothing like the romance movie that they saw, they begin to think something's wrong with me, something's wrong with my wife. SubhanAllah, brothers and sisters, if you don't believe the TV about Islam, if you don't believe the TV about terrorism and Muslims, why would you believe TV about romance and marriage? Every marriage has its ups and downs. Every couple will raise their voices and argue in their lifetimes, multiple times throughout the year. It is impossible that a healthy marriage doesn't have some healthy disagreement.
Now when you're a young person, and you're growing up and you want to get married, even when you get married, Allah has called you a half. You are a half. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're a half. Why has Allah said that? Adam alayhi salam in Jannah, he was sitting down and he felt there's something missing in his life. He wasn't fully happy with all of Jannah. And from his rib was created Hawa. This is in the Sahih Hadith. And then he found his sukoon. Allah has said in the Holy Quran, in Surah number 30, Surah Ankabut, verse number 21, He has said, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, so that you may find tranquility, calmness by staying with her. And the same applies to the woman, so that the woman may find tranquility with the man. Allah has said in the Holy Quran, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ, He has said those women who have entered the fortress. What does that mean? That the women who get married, women who will show their dignity and their pride and their honor in what? In securing themselves with yourself as a husband inside one fortress. And you will do the same thing. You are muhsineen. Allah has called you muhsineen. In Surah Nisa, Allah has called you muhsineen as men. Allah has called them muhsanat. That you have taken yourself in a fortress, she's taken herself in a fortress. You're together, bound together. And this nikah is a promise. It's a contract. It's a contract in front of Allah. Though you're not signing anything, you don't have to sign anything, but your word, the Muslim's tongue, is going to be held responsible on the Day of Judgment. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he was asked a question. His question was a very simple question. And Sayyidina Ali gave 8 words to this answer. How many words? 8 words. But in these 8 words, he covered the whole of what I might cover with you in 1 or 2 or 3 nights. Subhanallah. Allah gave Sayyidina Ali balagha. He gave fasah and balagha. Sayyidina Ali, he could say a few things and it has so much rich meaning to it. So what did he ask him? The question was simple. The question was, what is marriage? What is marriage? What is it all about? Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said first, he said, marriage is sururu shahrin. And he said, what's after that? Sayyidina Ali said, ghumumu dahrin. What's after that? He said, kusuru dhahrin. What's after that? He said, nuzulu qabrin. That's it. 8 words. 4 couplets, 8 words, summed the whole thing up. Subhanallah, what a job he did. Number 1, his answer was, sururu shahrin. What is marriage? Sayyidina Ali said, it is a month's worth of happiness. You guys thinking, month, 1 month, 30 days. 1 month worth of happiness. It didn't literally mean a month worth of happiness. It meant, basically the beginning, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, you got your wife saying, darling, what should I cook you? Parathas on the table, even for breakfast, right? And everything is running like clockwork, everything. That's when the golden days are. And guys, when you get married, and girls, when you get married, enjoy it. Because there's a time when that's not going to be there anymore. You're going to be ending up with your cornflakes on your breakfast table. End up with your little crunchy nut and the rest of it. And even if you want breakfast, she'll probably be snoring and telling you, to go and get it yourself. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said, he said, sururu shahrin, then he said, ghumumu dahrin. The next thing he said was, ghumumu dahrin. He said, it's the whole lifetime worth of, it's a lifetime's worth of responsibility. And then Sayyidina Ali was asked, what's after that? He said, well, your back gets bent. Kusuru dhahrin. He said, what's after that? He said, nuzulu qabrin, time to go to the grave. Now you might think, what? I'm not getting married. 1 month after that, I get so much pressure, then I get back bent and I go in the grave. Is that it? Now subhanAllah, Sayyidina Ali said a beautiful thing. Because he linked marriage, he linked it to the next world. Sayyidina Ali linked it with the grave right at the end. Why? Because marriage is not just about this world. And the people who get married, after a while, they realize that it's not just about this world. The whole akhirah depends on marriage. The whole of the next life depends on marriage. And why the Rasulullah said, his nikah or your marriage is half of your faith. Why he said half of your faith is because you and your wife together, you're going to complete faith. You're going to complete your iman. First thing a person thinks of when marriage is coming up and so on is, you're just thinking about sururu shahrin. The first part of Sayyidina Ali's qawl, first part of his part, he said, that month's worth. For some people it's 2 months, some people it's 3 months, 4 months. Some people it lasts for a year. I've met some brothers, even after 1.5 years, they've still got that smile from one earlobe to another earlobe. Right? The brother, mashallah, is looked after, yeah? But that's good. And even sisters as well, some of them, they have a wonderful time. But there's a time when responsibilities are going to come. And when responsibilities come, it's not about sururu shahrin anymore, it's about ghumumu dahrin. You're going to have to start thinking now. It's a very serious thing. It's not just get in there, get out there. It's not that. No. Those sisters, those brothers who are married and who've been married, they know what it is. Because you know what? The biggest thing you're going to have to deal with is learning about one another. You have to learn about one another. For you to live on your own as a bachelor, it's easy. You get up in the morning, you wear what you want, get out the door, come back when you want, done. When you're married, you can't do that. You can't do what you want, come home when you want, this and that. You've got a responsibility. You've got a responsibility and you've got to think about that. You've got to take it seriously.
Marriage is not for enjoyment. Marriage in Islam is ibadah. It is actually worship of Allah. In the ibadah, it doesn't really matter whether you enjoy or don't enjoy. Happiness comes after fulfilling your duties properly. Even in a restaurant, when a cook makes food and he thinks that customers eat properly, they enjoy, he becomes happy. His happiness comes, from doing his duty properly. In ibadah, you get happiness, but once you have done your ibadah properly. In married life, happiness comes when you have done duty properly, means you raise family properly, your children properly, look after your wife properly, and then certainly you get satisfaction. This happiness, the real happiness. Try to understand marriage basically is ibadah. It is not an enjoyment. It has not been made to be enjoyed. And when people are confused between the means and end, the problems keep remaining. The difference between ibadah and aada is what? What people are aada? Habit. To please themselves. Ibadah is to please Allah. Marriage is not to please yourself. It is what? Please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When it comes to pleasing Him, then basically my happiness doesn't really matter. If my Lord is happy with me, I am happy. It doesn't matter really whether, maybe my wife actually does not respect me properly. But no, I still keep relation because it pleases my Lord. My Lord wants me to relation because He wants to family properly. I don't care about my own happiness. I really want what I'm interested in. Allah is happy. If Allah is happy, I don't care. I can sacrifice my life, my enjoyment for the sake of Allah. Same the women think, I'm actually in this relation only for the sake of Allah. I want to, help for this family. Now my husband does not understand my importance, does not actually appreciate my work, does not respect me properly. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me that my Lord is happy. He knows what my husband does not know. He respects me when my husband does not respect me. What matters to me, what my Lord looks. I'm his slave, not my husband's slave. So try to understand properly. Slavery to Allah, not to slavery to the husband or the wife. Marriage and ibadah. In this life, if you ask anybody that what is the purpose, what you looking in the life properly, so people say that we are looking for happiness. We want happiness, success. Everybody, believers and unbelievers, everybody looking in the life happiness. They want to be happy. They want to have a happy life. Everybody. For this happy life, what they think, like in modern time, what they think, if you want to have a happy life, you need to do certain things. One is good education. Study properly, get a good degree from one of the good university in the world, like in Cambridge or Oxford or something like that. People want to have a good degree from good university. Then what? Then how can happiness come? Then they think if you can get a good degree, then you can get good job. Good money will come, good job. Then how the happiness will come? Then they say, it's all working. There's no happiness in this thing anyway. Then they say, after that I'll buy a house. I get a house. Okay, you got a house. So what will happiness come? They say, no, after that I'll get a wife. Then what will happen is, then I become happy. But actually, it doesn't happen. You do all those things, then you still are not happy. People get a degree, people get a job, people get a wife, and still not happy. You can see. Ask all the people who, after such a long time, I know really, some of my friends, my students from Oxford, I know husband and wife both from Oxford, they learned people, clever people, and they fell in love with each other, and they got married, but they are not happy. So many problems, and I keep making effort to solve the problem. Sometimes reconcile between them. Sometimes it works, sometimes doesn't work. Still not happy. Okay. Tell me what goes wrong. What has gone wrong really? Why people are not happy? What is missing there? What is missing there is really is that you are looking for your happiness in the wrong place. This is not how to make you happy. Second thing really is, tell me you only can expect certain outcome from something which you make. So for example, you think really that I get a degree, I get a job, I get a house, and then get a wife, I become happy. It depends actually if all these things are made by you, then outcome is problem. But your wife, is it she made by you or made by someone else? Made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She's not made by you. Your husband, is he made by you? He's made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The problem really is you have very little in all these matters. Your happiness, how can all the things that agree on which your happiness depends, actually it depends on someone else, not on you. So how can you come to your house and you think really that I have worked so hard all the day, and I come actually my wife will be welcoming me and receiving me with a happy face and nice smiling and nice food smell coming, and you enter the house, there are no smell of the food. Now you become a little upset that all the day I have been waiting for that and no food. You went to the kitchen, nothing, no cooking there, and your wife is not there, and rather than she's in the bed. And when you're there, she said, I'm not feeling well. And now think really, you'll be so upset. But and try to understand properly, because you think really the life will be run as you desire. It's not going to be run. It doesn't matter really whether you study in Oxford or Cambridge or anywhere, it's not going to run by you. Because basically your wife, before she listened to you, she listened to her Lord. If her Lord makes her ill, she has to be ill. It's not because my husband actually expects from me certain things, she always must be ready. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's commander. He's the Rabb. He's the one who does. When you are hungry, desire indication you need food. But tell me what the purpose of food is. To give energy. So for survival of your life, individual life actually, you need energy. And energy comes from where? From the food. And hunger is indication of that. Similarly, survival of the mankind on the face of the earth depends on children. Because future generation means men and women meet, relation, then children come. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the future human generation to continue on the face of the earth. He wants that to continue. He could have done differently. He could have done another way would have been to after every 10 years to drop new generation on the face of on the heaven. So you can from the tree you can give children. People can do. He could have done that, but he did differently. What he did actually, he made the family system, and from the family, from the husband and wife, new generation can come. Why? Purpose is then they can teach, they can learn, love and mahabba and all those things. So he wanted to make family. Through the family, human generation, next generation comes through the family that he wanted. So basically the whole purpose is to make a future generation, the whole purpose. And this future generation, they learn ibadah, how to worship Allah from their parent. That's what it is. This will not happen because nobody wants to tie it up with other person. So what he did, nobody wants to eat. So he put the desire there. And similarly, when the people don't want to have a relation, he put desire of the relation. So desire come there. But desire is not the purpose to fulfill the desire. The purpose is what? To have family. So if you understand this thing, then things become actually easier. Then you know really the family life in Islam is for two connected purpose. One is to make future generation, and second thing is to train them on the ibadah of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not make this life for enjoyment. He only made this life for ibadah. Enjoyment is after death. If people want to marry because of the enjoyment, certainly they are wrong. It's not for that purpose. You're looking for something in wrong place. Always keep in mind that the reason I'm getting married is because now I've reached to age when I can have children, I want to have family, and then I can raise my children to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if my generation can continue, I die, and then in the future generation, they continue on the face of that, they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's actually what you need to do. What the scholars say, since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the life into this marriage for a function with a responsibility, and the function is not easy, and responsibility very, very heavy. Nobody wants to marry. If somebody tells you, you marry because you have to have family or because of your function, who's going to marry? Nobody wants to have responsibility. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts a desire there, then a desire is so strong really, that no desire as strong as this desire, Allah subhanahu, because He wants you to do. This desire is so strong that if people don't marry, sometimes they can fall in the sin. And we can see around us, people are falling in the sin. So that's why the ulama say that indication really, you must get married. So what they say, if somebody realizes that if he does not marry, he will fall in the sin, and he has got enough means to marry. Man has got enough money to support his wife. He's got money for accommodation expenses, and he thinks if he does not marry, he will fall in the sin. Then it is a clear indication you must get married and make family. Then marriage on that person is obligatory further. If somebody think really that he has bad character, and if he marries a woman, he is going to harm her, he is going to be unjust to her, he is going to mistreat, disrespect to her, then marriage to such a person is haram, sinful act, because you are not allowed to involve in a relation where you are going to harm any other person. Is it clear? Many men, they really don't teach themselves properly. By marriage they are doing haram. Marriage is not allowed for you. It's haram for you to marry because you don't know really how to behave. If anybody knows I am such an angry person, I always become angry, and when I marry I'm going to create a problem for my wife, then don't marry. Simple thing, you have to learn. First learn how to behave properly. Before that you are not allowed to marry. So marriage for a person like that is what? Haram. Is it clear? So for somebody it's wajib, but somebody also can be haram. For some people it can be makruh tahrimi, nearly haram. Some people makruh. Generally, if people have good character, good manner, and they know the function of the marriage, and they have got enough means to look after the wife, and they don't think they will fall in the sin, it's still for people like normal people, still it is recommended to marry. It is sunnah the person, they get reward for it. Still they get reward for that. Is it clear? But if any of those things become more urgent, then actually marriage becomes more important. For example, if a desire becomes stronger and people think they fall in the sin, it becomes wajib. But generally, if they don't fall in the sin, but they have got all the means to marry, they can look after their wife, still it is highly recommended that people should marry. So marriage in normal condition, it is still sunnah. Even if people think that they are not going to fall in the sin, it's still sunnah because it actually helps the purpose, future generation. It really makes you a complete person. Then you have sabr, then you look after the person, and you have children, you raise them properly, you basically contribute, in Islamic life. So marriage always encouraged. That's why one of the great companions, Abdullah Masud used to say, if from my life only 10 days remain, 10 days, and I know that at the end of the last 10 days, I am going to die. Only 10 days for my life. And I have got a means to marry, I will marry. I will marry, I would prefer to die having wife rather than dying without wife. That's what I'm saying. See how they think really. Because people don't understand that marriage really, it makes you a complete person. When you are praying, you get reward the prayer. When you marry and then you pray, you get your rewards are multiplied by many, many times. Because it's not because now you basically adjust your life, in the family life. And sometimes you difficulty, sometimes problem, you have sabr and all those things. Now the rewards are multiplied by many, many times. Not no enjoyment. When before marriage, you used to read the Quran every morning. After the marriage, still you keep reading the Quran, your rewards are multiplied by many, many times. Before marriage, you used to fast. After marriage, you keep fasting, your rewards are multiplied by many, many times. Marriage basically makes, for men and women, both of them, the rewards are multiplied by many, many times. To try to understand properly. That's why, I said that, if people marry and they're suffering, and that is much, much better than people who don't want to have suffering and don't marry. Marriage is suffering much, much better because you get so much reward. You cannot imagine. You have no idea really how much reward you get when you marry. There's so much reward in the marriage. That's why these people, they always have been, in the marriage. Taus al-Yamani, who was a great tabi'i, very pious person, he used to say, young person's ibadah never can be complete until he gets married. Ibrahim Maisra is great alim. He said, Taus al-Yamani said to me, I was a student, he said to me, you must marry. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you same thing what Umar said to Abu Zawaid. Abu Zawaid did not marry. So Umar said to him, nothing stops you from marriage except ajz or fujur. Either you are unable, you are not proper man, or you are sinner. You do sin. Nothing else. There no meaning is young people, then nothing else. They should marry. That's what the Prophet said, Ya ma'asha shabab, man istata'a minkum al-ba'ata falyatazawwaj wa man lam yastati' fa'alayhi bis-sawm fa inna as-sawma lahu wija'un. Hadith in Bukhari, Muslim, all the books of the hadith. He said, oh young people, you must get married. If you can afford the marriage, you must get married. If you cannot afford, then what do? Then keep fasting, because fasting is shield. Meaning is young men have no choice. Young men have only two choices, either marriage or fasting. If you see young men neither marrying nor fasting, there's a problem. Young men in his hadith only two choices. If they can afford marriage, they must marry. It is for men, not for women, because women afford does not come for the women, but for the men, if they can afford the marriage, they must marry. And if they cannot afford the marriage, they must keep fast. Not one day fasting, keep fasting all the time. There's no third choice. There's nothing third way that don't marry and don't fast. There's nothing like that really.